it's a beautiful spot. We're right up in the medieval area of Hexam, in a beautiful part of the town, which is full of really interesting shops. And this one is a new addition to the shops in Hexam, and my new friend.
Hi.
Amy will call you, but I'll introduce you as Maya because your kids has called you that name on your van.
Yes. My new alter ego name is Maya.
Yeah.
Officially, I'm Amy.
Amy, tell us, well, it's called Amy.
Travels of Amy M.
Tell us about, right, first of all, we're going to talk about your travels, but it's pretty much illustrated here, isn't it?
Yeah, so these are just illustrations of iconic places around the world. I'm up to about 75 or something different places now.
Yeah.
And so for each location, I do two different styles. So I do, for example, I'll show you the Leeds set. For example, this is the Leeds skyline, and then that's the Leeds aerial map. So I do them as a matching set of artworks that celebrate places around the world, basically.
And these are all places you've visited?
Almost all of them. Can't profess to be all of them because some of them were commissions from customers who've asked me to do, like, for example, Istanbul. I've never been there, but that was a commission. Yeah. So they're places that
But you know, when you get there, you got a map.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, so they're just places around the world that are beautiful and people have asked me to do or I've created myself. And
so, okay, so you've had a business before, but in Australia.
Yeah, so I've had this business for 12 years.
Yeah.
Mainly selling online and through at markets, like at, one-off market stalls kind of thing, at these sort of big art and design markets. And I used to have, then I opened up a little shop when I lived in Australia, but I opened it 2 months before the pandemic. So opened it January 2020.
And Australia was particularly strict as well.
Did you
get trapped in Australia?
No, we escaped. Yeah. we applied to escape, and then we left and couldn't get back in. So we left Australia after living there for 11 years. But I did
11 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
I had a tiny shop there in Sydney, in Manly, on the beach, and it was amazing.
And were you travelling? Were you vanning?
We weren't vanning there. We were living in the tiny house. So
Tell us about a tiny house.
So when we were living in Australia, I really wanted to buy my own first home, but knew I never wanted a mortgage. And so was looking at alternative ways of living, hit upon the tiny house movement. This was back in 2014. Found out about the tiny house movement online because obviously it's huge in America. And just totally fell in love with it and just realized there was no one really in Australia doing it. I found out there was one tiny house in Sydney and that was it. And in the whole of the rest of the country, no one was really doing it. And I just fell in love with the whole idea and I wanted a little house. I didn't want it to be a caravan. I wanted it to look like a little home. And so we watched thousands of hours of YouTube videos and learned how to build a tiny house.
And you went out and built one.
And we went out and built one. So yeah, we got the help of my partner at the time. His best friend was a carpenter in Italy. So we flew him out and he helped us with a lot of the construction. So you got an Australian
holiday and you got a tiny house.
Exactly.
Wow.
So we did that and then we lived in it for 6 years or so. And then that's when we left Australia.
And you didn't have a van now then? Because we met because of your van.
Yeah, because of my van. Now I kind of part-time live in a van.
Yeah.
When my kids are in Italy visiting their dad, I live in the van. And then when they come back, I rent somewhere temporarily just to kind of give them a bit more of a base, especially in British weather.
And your kids are here at the moment,
They are here at the moment, they're currently at school today.
So the shop is opening
tomorrow.
This is especially for me.
It is. You're the first person that's been in.
Wonderful. So it's opening tomorrow.
It's opening tomorrow officially.
And where are you for those that are local or are coming to Hexam? And can I really recommend coming to Hexam? It's a friendly place. I'll just stop and talk to people, and it's always a good thing when you can do that. But the history that is just all around you, the Abbey, which is the 6th century, founded in the 6th century, is just down there, and all the buildings relate to what's happened through time in this place. And you're in one of the older parts. This building
is actually a heritage building, which is why I'm not allowed to do anything with the outside. So I'm not allowed to paint or do anything. It's got to stay as it is. I can't remember. It was connected to the Abbey somehow, but I can't remember the history of this particular building.
These would just be close. This is where the monks would have hung out, up and down here, I would imagine.
because it's a beautiful cobbled street.
Yeah, still cobbled.
Yeah, it's got a nice vibe to it.
All right, let's go travelling with Amy.
Okay.
These are all American.
Yes.
And West Coast American. No, that's New York.
Top two. So I've started doing a whole range of the national parks, although I've only got 4 at the moment. So obviously there's a lot more to do.
The Americans know what to do about national parks, don't they?
Yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah.
And then the only 2 cities I've got are New York and San Francisco. Then I've got a whole Australia range, obviously, because that's where the business started.
Yeah.
So that's my biggest range in terms of...
And that's Newcastle there, of course.
I know. No, Newcastle copied the Sydney Bridge is what
That's not right. That's not according to all my Geordie friends.
Oh, really?
No, the truth is, and I've no reason to argue with it, with Lisa Geordie, but I've no reason to argue. It's the same people that designed the bridge. They were a Newcastle firm, and they actually used northeast steel on both bridges.
Never knew that.
Yeah, they took it all. They shipped all that steel out to Sydney for the Sydney Harbour Bridge.
Wow.
So
this is all Australian ranges, and so for each location I always do the aerial map. So this is the abstract aerial map, and this is the skyline. So there's the 2 options. And then I've got a whole UK section. Obviously, now having moved back to the UK, I've seen a lot more of the UK, which is here.
Have you a Hexam one yet?
I actually don't, which I've got to have by, I must have by next week. I'm doing an official launch party next Friday.
So have you got a workshop as well then?
Well, this will be my workshop.
This is your workshop course?
So this is going to be my workspace as well.
So anybody that comes in, you can talk them through the process?
Yeah, exactly.
The graphic arts?
Because I print it all here as well myself. So I make everything myself by hand, so...
Well, it's beautiful work. There's Yosemite.
Yeah, Yosemite is my favourite. I'll pull it out for you.
Please, look at that.
That's one of my favourites. Yeah.
So and we parked. That's Golden Gates, and the rock Alcatraz is over just about there, and we parked up with this. I'll show you a photo of it from over there.
Not a bad place to camp out.
Lake Tahoe.
I've never been there. That was a commission.
Is this? Oh, you've been to Joshua Tree?
Yeah. When I was younger. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, magical place. There's places in the world where the difference between this life and the next life is thin.
Yes.
I felt that massively.
The veil is thin. I completely agree. And then the Zion. Again, I haven't been to Zion. That was a commission from
Zion in Utah.
And then Grand Canyon, obviously.
Yeah, we had a day at the Grand Canyon. We were really lucky. There was another tour coming through, and there was a geologist teaching them the geology of the places that they were. It was a geology tour, and he just stood. I think probably where that is, not far away from it.
I think it's called. From memory.
He just stood and he talked us through the ages, right the way back to the earliest rock.
Yeah,
of course, it was all there in the strata. Yeah. It was fantastic. So, were you living in?
I lived in New York for 2 years.
So you were travelling across America.
Yes.
Did you have a van?
I didn't then. No. I was a bit more traditional. Well, slightly more traditional back then. I was working for a graphic design studio in Glasgow, and they'd opened up a New York office, and they said. And I was about 23, 24, and they were like, who wants to transfer to the New York office? And no one else put their hands up. I was like, hang on, Glasgow or New York? I think I might choose New York. So they sorted out my visa and everything, got me over there. So I lived there for 2 years working in their design studio and had a tiny little apartment that was like the size of a shoebox, not much bigger than a van.
Yeah.
And it had a toilet in the cupboard. I remember that. It literally was the cupboard. And I lived there for 2 years. It was epic. And but then moved to Australia. So
where did you get the idea of linking the maps to the actual skylines?
I'm just obsessed by maps. I remember when I was younger, when I was a kid, literally from the age of 3 to 10, I remember my dad in the study had a whole cupboard just full of Ordnance Survey maps, and they were all categorised. And I remember just literally we weren't allowed to go in, as you know, because they were his precious maps. But I used to sneak in, and I remember used to like,
right?
yeah, I used to sneak in and like open
somebody's
the
been
maps
every little back street.
Oh my god! And just the look of them, and I just remember loving that map cupboard. And I've just been obsessed with maps since. And
so do you turn the sat nav off these days?
No,
you don't.
Unfortunately, I'm still very reliant on Google Maps to get me around. But no, I just love maps, and I think a lot of people love maps. And so obviously this is a bit more traditional in terms of the style, and this is more abstract. So it depends it basically appeals to two different audiences, really.
This looks quite retro.
Yeah, so I love vintage travel posters.
Right.
So I try to do basically like a modern version of a vintage travel poster is the idea.
Yeah.
So a lot of them have got kind of a bit of a retro vibe. And I guess as well, it helps with the print because it's all printed on handmade paper.
Yeah.
So it's got that sort of like, as soon as you print onto an uncoated paper, the ink all sinks in and it kind of goes more like muted. So
and do you treat that afterwards, or is that
No, so it's completely
it's
just
printed.
Yeah, it's just printed, and then but it's printed with art gallery standard inks, so they never fade or yellow with time. It's called giclée printing, which is a particular type of printing, which is basically art gallery standard.
Okay, I'm going to let you go, because you're busy. But
I'm busy trying to open for tomorrow.
You were living in Italy.
Yes.
So show us your favourite Italian.
I've only got one on display at the moment. I do have about another 4 in the works, but this is the
I'm sure Venice will feature. That's the eternal city, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got Venice, Florence, Milan, and somewhere else, can't remember now, about to launch.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Excellent.
So it's just the world is a very big place. That's the thing. There's always something
to do. It is, and you've got a nice little spot here in Hexam. So folks will be coming in. You'll be getting to talk about their travels as well.
I hope so. Yeah, I mean that's what I love about this is that people come in and they, or at the meet me at the markets, and they tell me why they've fallen in love with a particular place, and they want something on their wall that reminds them of that place. So I love the fact that my art kind of reminds people of happy travel memories, basically. Even
Manchester, which is, of course, the Venice of the north of England.
Yeah, I actually really like Manchester. I prefer Liverpool, though. Liverpool's cool. Yeah.
Oh, you just that controversial. You like to say that live on air.
That's the Liverpool one.
That's the Liverpool one.
Yeah.
Albert building, of course.
Yeah.
Well, it's lovely meeting you. It's very fortuitous, I think.
It was.
So good luck.
Thank you.
And on my travels, I shall be making sure that I come back to Hexam to see how you're doing.
Yeah.
But we'll keep in touch, eh?
Yeah, please do, fellow van lifers. I'll be full-time van life come April. So.
Well, good luck with that as well. We'll see you somewhere down the trail. You're going to take this on the road with you then?
No, so what I'll do is I'll be living mainly around the Hexam area and still working in the shop.
Yeah.
And then, I'll just be travelling on my days off, really. But I'll be doing van life in the town. Yeah.
Okay, let's keep in touch. Thank you.
Nice to meet you, Rob.
It was lovely to meet you. Thanks. Hexam. Go and find Travels of Amy M. And you heard it here first, folks. Thanks very much for tuning in.